Hey everyone, I'm Wa.
And I'm Chris, and welcome to Docu-Sweeties.
We're two longtime friends who discuss the riveting and sometimes trashy world of reality TV and docuseries.
Yes, but through our own lens, which is, knee deep in that gingerbread and high tide in the eggnog, but, like swimming. In apple cider, but at the end of the day, hopefully mildly sweet, like an empty plate of cookie crumbs, because Sandy came.
Cause Candy Cane or
Sandy,
Sandy Cane?
Santa,
Santa Cane
Santa came.
in his pants. Also, you make fun of me for eggnog, and I've never seen you have a gingerbread. Have you had a gingerbread?
Okay, cookie? Gingerbread cookie? Because I don't think because I'm like, is she meaning like just a slice of what as she's
Mm-hmm.
assuming is just a gingerbread? I mean, I've had
Uh-huh.
probably like maple or like a pumpkin bread that had some ginger in it. I never thought, oh, this is gingerbread. I thought this is pumpkin bread.
Yeah, I love gingerbread. It's great. I've made it before. You make it with like molasses and it's great. You should try it.
Well, you've definitely haven't made it for me. But you know what? Here's the thing: there's still time. And if it's specifically this year, 10 more days. But we're talking about 90 Day Fiance, Last Resort. This is season 2, episode 4. Who knows what it should be called? I'll tell you what it should be called. You're a whore. Everyone's a whore, honey. There's a whore story. Everyone's a whore in this episode. You, me, Natalie, everyone's Julia, honey, Josh, all whores. Let's talk about it.
Or Reba, not McIntyre Thomas.
The biggest whore.
Okay.
And that other guy. Oh, we'll get
Uh-huh.
to him. So yeah, this is hot on the tail of the biggest fight of our century of our lives, which is when Natalie goes after Sophie, who unfortunately had the misfortune of just getting slid by Josh into her DMs while married and then showing up younger and in a slutty dress in front of Natalie.
The only crime committed. I mean, and it wasn't even a fashion crime. It was like only a crime in Natalie's eyes, Natalie's He-Man woman hating eyes. So I want us to talk about that scene from last episode because you did not get an opportunity to talk about it with me. Welcome back. And yeah. So this is how it happens. Josh is talking to Sophie, and Sophie is keeping Josh talking to her because she wants to bother Natalie. Rob is in on the high school shenanigans, but it absolutely works, which makes me go, bravo. And then we've got Jasmine over there whispering in Natalie's ear, and she's like, baby, let me tell you. So he invited her to Vegas. And so Natalie gets upset. There's like
What,
a
Josh? No, not in my Josh. No, he entered that whore until she the young one. No, that young one right there. He would never meet Josh. And she runs over and just.
Oh, she's on mute. Our girl's on mute. You got too excited and your mic said no. No, stop yelling into me. Stop it. Oh, it came fully out. It's because she was doing her theatrics, everyone. Whatnot. So okay. Um
Anyway, my whole point of my story was thank you, I'm back. Crystal clear sound. Is basically she puts on the performance of her life. So she's outside, right? And the Jasmine comes outside and Gino comes behind her, and Jasmine's like upset, like, how dare you? Because basically Natalie runs off and it's like, oh, you started it. She's like, no, sorry, let me do my Natalie. Oh, she's like, you started it, you finished it. I can't do the fucking. So she
Look at the notes. It says, fix it. This is your fault. You started it.
Yeah.
Where is my car? Now go. Scene.
They go outside, and outside, Natalie is just laser shooting those gray blue eyes, and Jasmine comes out in her like flamingo dancer finest. Like, she's always wearing ruffly, sleeves, and her hair is like pulled back into like a high, bun with, like one of those wraps inside to make the bun bigger. Anyway, God bless. So she's like, how fucking dare you? They don't like, this is really Jasmine being like, how dare you? Who do you think you are? You think you're going to like make the scene about you and then throw it back at me as if I have to do any dirty work when you and I know I started this shit for you. How dare you? A, fuck you, bow before me. B, recognize who's boss. Now guess a stepping.
Yeah, this it's like, listen here. I like you. And then she puts her hand into the web that is Natalie's hair, grabs Natalie's ear, jingles it. Then, I mean, Italian mafia slaps the face a little bit. Hey, Joey. And is like, listen, but this is not my fault. It's not my fault that your man is the problem and that you are being a bitch. And now you threw glass on my feet and you are going to apologize because you have not seen bitch. Like, basically, Jasmine's like, you just came in here and tried to do something and like with all this pizzazz and shit, but to the wrong person. So I'm gonna call you out for being a He-Man woman hater. First of all, I'm the crazy bitch here, and you've never seen crazy bitch. And then all of a sudden, these men just come from nowhere and they try to like stop Jasmine. Like, what was Jasmine gonna do? Jasmine was not gonna get to fisticuffs with what's her face. But Biniam tries to, like, no, stop, stop. And then Gino comes and it's like, Jasmine. And then somebody else like tries to like slide
Lauren,
in. Yeah,
yeah.
Florian tries to like slide in between. And then Natalie just does this.
Yes. Yes.
Pouty death stare of like frail white woman who doesn't know what she's done wrong, but is still trying to look sexy.
See, it's like yeah, to me, it's not frail. To me, it was a little bit like, fuck you. I'll do whatever the fuck I want. How dare you think you can talk to me? I don't need to speak to you unless I want to. There is an elitism to Natalie that is upper echelon. And it like comes out later in this episode. Basically, so then Julia comes out, to try to comfort Natalie. And they speak in, Ukrainian, which I'm always so happy because it feels like that's when you can really see someone's true self in their native language. And, Natalie like basically breaks down and it's like, I'm so pissed because, he's an asshole and look what he did to me in front of him. And she's such a young whore. Is what I said. And Julie's like, okay, well, chill out. You have to go home. And she's like, so she sends her home. And at first, I think Natalie thought that Julia was going to go home with Natalie. And Julia just like puts Natalie in the car. And she's like, well, are you okay to go home by yourself? And Natalie's like, no, sure. And Julia, of course, was not going to like go home with that and then miss that. So she like just closes that door to that goddamn Mercedes, honey. She comes right back to that party like, party time. I haven't missed a step. Like anyway, Julia, I like Julia. I don't want to like ever spend more than like 5 minutes alone with her. I think it'd be too much. But meanwhile, Jasmine gets all the girlies on her side. Stacy's like, that's fucked up, honey. That's fucked up what Natalie did to you because you were doing girl code. It was the girl code, and you were standing up for girls, and she's a goddamn cunt.
That bitch is crazy.
Yeah.
You attack a woman. And she ends up going off on Natalie and saying, like, that's why you don't have a man and you'll never have a man. And I was like, Jasmine, but do you really have a man? Mm-hmm. That is the question that we've seen here. She's like, that's why you're alone. Yeah. So then Julia walks over to Josh and is like, what's up? And Josh is like, yeah, no, I'm cool, because Josh is leaving the next day. He's got to go home and take care of like familial issues, and doesn't need nor want Jasmine's support, aid, or love in this time. And so she's like, okay, I'm going back to party. And again, this club / bar / eatery is just filled with the 90 Day Fiance crew and cast. Like, there's hardly or ne'er a person in that party.
That's so funny.
So Sophie then gets close to Rob and they start to again make fun of Natalie's age. And I'm like, okay, you've run this joke into the ground. Like, and also like, what, Sophie, you're 23 and you're calling someone who's 37 like 67 is crazy to me. Like, if she were like talking about Stacy that way, I'd be like, okay. But now, whether or not Natalie is in fact 38 or 39 as she claims to be, she looks great. So like, for you to then be like, oh yeah, she's so old. She's so old. Why is she behaving this way? I'm like, that is your mom. Like, if you're like,
Oh,
Like,
oh,
it's like, you
oh.
know about crazy women and their behavior. Your mom is quite literally that person, and you know
They
your
have the
mom
same
will go,
eyes.
yeah, your mom will go toe to toe with in this situation. Like, I don't
Death
know.
stare, those
It was just like,
blue
yeah, I was like, you can't
ski eyes.
say that about Natalie. She's still very much an attractive woman. Like, I don't know. It was just the wrong. It just felt. It just felt rude. First of all, like rude, real rude. Um,
That's so
so
funny.
then Gino is and Jasmine have their little moment where Jasmine is like, "Thank you, Gino. You have my back in there, and I was really happy for that." And
Yeah, Jasmine, it's so nice to see you protecting everyone. God, it's just my queen, my fortress queen, my queen protector.
yeah, it's just like,
That's-
cheers to Jasmine the Ferocious.
And then right after that, they make out, which I didn't see coming, and it was shock. Like, it was like a shock scare. I was, jump scare. I guess you were just like, oh, what? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
come again? But don't come again.
Nope,
Don't do
never.
it again.
Mm-mm.
But what happened? Yeah. So then basically, Josh goes away. He was told not to go visit Natalie, and because Julia wants Natalie to move on, kind of we all do as well. Florian, the
Now
next
the new
day,
episode. New
New
episode.
day, a new day is dawned. Florian is giving Stacy a lymphatic drainage massage on some oily legs with some scoopy, curvy wooden panel thing. And we find out that Jasmine and Gino, after that makeout kiss, because they were so turned on by her act of valor, fell asleep in the same bed. She is wearing gorgeous, like a 2-piece silk pajama set. They didn't fuck, but they slept side by side.
Yeah, I was looking at two-piece pajama sets, and that cost entirely too much
I
money.
know. It's like a
Like,
weird investment that you're like, "Oh, what I have to you want me to pay money on those kinds of clothes?" And it's like,
yeah.
it's annoying to think that all kinds of good quality clothes cost that amount of money, even no matter where you are in space, which is
Well, you know what?
obnoxious.
I feel like my mom could find it. She is consistently combing the Macy's streets, and she often will find like a comfortable pajama set. Now, if I were to told her to hone her ability into from cotton, and like she does a really good like slinky cotton that I enjoy. But if I were to tell her, can you look for like silk or satin pajamas, like she'd be able to find something on sale. Plus, she's like a member or whatever, a star platinum global member of Macy's blankety blank. And so she gets an extra 25% off on Thursdays or some shit. Like, she's one of those people. Like, I went and bought her something from Macy's and I just presented it to her and she was like, how much you pay for this? And I was like, oh, sorry. You guys want to hear about this? Now, let's move on. So that is happening. Florian's getting doing that with the legs. And at first they tried to make it seem like it was like a sexual thing. And I was like, what is happening? Like, why? And then it showed out that it was. She's like, it helps tone, it helps do all this stuff. And I was like, fake out, you guys win. So Brandon, though, he's still Brandon is so mad at Julia, and Julia does not give one. She's not even responding in anger. Like, that's what I love about it. It's not like she's like, well, Brandon, da 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 da. She's like, oh, Brandon, I just think that it's sexy because I want to. You know what I mean? Like, I love that for her. She has given him, she just makes him look like a pouty baby because the way she is just not responsive and like whining back to him. If it was Sophie and Rob, Sophie would be like, Rob, but how come I get to wear and you get, and then she would storm off. It'd be a whole thing. But Julia's like, no, you're fine. And then like moves the direction, moves it on.
Why are you wearing that? You're a
Because
whore.
I'm not whore. I want to wear this. This is not whore. Why
You
are you
should be a
talking?
whore for me at night whenever I want you, like my mom is for my dad on the ranch. In that
Yeah,
jacuzzi where they jacuzzi of sperm.
yeah. She's like, you called me whore, and he's like, you were dancing on the bar.
What? Yeah.
That's not what whore doing. Later on the episode, when she says that like she doesn't see dancing sexy as like the same as like having sex or talking about sex, and I'm like, well, That's interesting because everything you were doing was alluding to what your body would look like and what you may look like if you were imitating sex. Like you weren't dancing the tango. You were on the bar doggy style.
I know this sounds crazy. I just feel like I'm the same way. Like,
Oh,
I don't
tell
know
us.
how to dance without it being
Oh,
slutty. I used like
I used
I
to
I
be
because I
able
mean,
to
I don't like I can
do.
say that word now, but I'm like, whatever. It's like I use the word slut dance. Like I crave it. Like I want to go slut dance when that means I want to go dance. Just so happens.
I'm like, what
I look
slut
slutty
dancing?
doing it. I'm not I mean, it's like the same way, like, I have big boobs, I can't wear certain things, I look slutty. I look like me. For some reason, when I dance, I look slutty. Now, I'm not saying slutty's bad, and I'm just saying I've owned it for myself. But you know what I'm saying? That's fine. I don't know, dance, like, because you're just like, how do you're just like, like, how do you make rhythm with your body? How do you, like, like, have body rolls without it fucking looking like, you listen, you be good in bed.
I don't
Julia
think you're
is.
dressed. You're dancing slutty. I always like put it towards belly dancing. Like I'm like, oh, she's like belly dancing.
But you're just like undulating. You're just like,
Yeah, but you are not getting on your hands and knees and like sticking your butt up in the air. That is what she was doing, which is way more slutty dancing than anything that you have even ever attempted in public or private that I've
well,
seen.
I can't twerk. And if I did know how to twerk, I would have
Oh,
fucking tried
okay.
it. Believe
Okay,
me. I'm
great,
just
great.
because
Okay,
I'm
good to
so
know.
she
Good to
can.
know.
Okay, so basically, yeah, that's their whole thing, and then that's going to come later. So Josh, obviously not being there, so basically, yeah, they get to talk the next day, and it's really weird. He comes over, and she's like, "Oh, who's there?" It's like,
Yeah, yeah,
room service, breakfast, it's like housekeeping. No, come back 15 minutes. Like, what are you going to do? So
yeah,
then he comes in and they go right to the patio. And then she's okay. She is wearing a boobylicious in a sundress, and she's like pouty and cold. And she does look beautiful. Like she has great makeup on. And in the sunlight on the patio, she does look great.
yeah.
She says,
Ethereal.
yeah, she goes, "What happened last night?" And he goes, "What, did you forget?"
Yeah, yeah. And she's like, no, it's just that we have different perspectives on how things happen. So I want to know from you what happened. And he's like,
He's
well, I was having a conversation and you blew up as per usual. But I invited a friend to Vegas. I wasn't inappropriate. And that's all that happened. And you need to trust me. Well, that's not what Jasmine said. Jasmine said that you invite her to Vegas, but you never invite me anywhere. Well, I invited her as a friend. And he doesn't even own up to the fact that he's never invited Natalie anywhere. And so he's starting to like re-explain himself when she goes, you know what, Josh, you are low class, low key whore. Whore. You are low class. And then she says it with such like an ethereal, like she looks like an angel.
mhm,
And
mhm,
she's calling this man a low class, low key whore.
mhm, mhm,
I want her to get with Vanya so that like because even her lip, while it is still overdone, it looks so natural. Like whatever brown she has lining her lips right now is just giving. I don't know. I think it looks natural from what I know of this type of face.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, you're absolutely right. She goes, "You fuck everything that walks, and I'm afraid to catch something by air." And then he goes, "Well, I'm afraid to fucking catch your craziness by air." And he goes, "Good luck, and I hope you apologize to everyone because they deserve it." And then she just sits there and pouts. Then they go to group therapy, honey. And listen, group therapy shows up. Stacy and Florian first there. Stacy's wearing this, which when they turn the corner with those veneers and that tan and those thigh-high boots and those crop shorts, and she's like the dimensions of this
Yeah,
outfit
are
are
bad.
so wild
Yeah.
that I literally this picture I was like I don't know what to do with it. I
She
have to
can't
see it.
have a thigh high boot on. They have too long legs and short torsos to do a thigh high boot in that fashion. I think that what she would need to have done is get like a lower, for sure, a lower boot so that her legs look very long, and then and she's wearing a crop top, but it fits her like regular. So she actually needs to wear a little bit of a low rise pants, like a low rise thing, and then maybe we would have got some better proportions. Now later on, she takes off those boots, or Florian attempts to take off those boots, and he just refuses to get up and do it the easy way, and she's not wearing any socks. And I said, did someone not lay them out for you? Is that why you thought you could wear those shoes that look like hot as hell? And then they're brand new, her and Jasmine's shoes, because I for some reason have to look at the bottom of people's feet and shoes. They're both brand new pairs of shoes, and like I unfortunately cannot be. I would have had to like razor blade them because I would have worried about falling. I need to have grip on my shoes if I'm going to be on camera.
Walking around pools.
Mm.
Hi,
Oh,
So,
yeah. Dangerous.
right? Jasmine looks cute in a floral red two-piece kind of like play set. Ari and Benny shows up. Now, of course, Ari had promised to give Benny back his passwords, back at the club, and then she also said that she doesn't have it on her coincidentally, and for some reason can't get it, and how coincidental and whatever, and so she hasn't give it to him. And meanwhile, we also know that Benny early on has been like, I'm low-key with someone else, and I don't want anything to do with her. So now they're here, and we're like, they should, to me, I'm like, they shouldn't be here, because unless for some reason he's gonna once mention wanting to be with her, this seems like in like not consensual. And
Yes. Yes. It feels like she is forcing something on him, and we are watching someone consistently say, no, thank you. I don't want to be touched. No, thank you. I'm not going to come up to your apartment. No, please don't touch me here. And it's like, also, I missed it. So in episode 1, he said he was with somebody else.
he started dating someone.
Oh. Yeah, and he doesn't give a darn that this is the mother of his child. And so yeah, she
They were already
always though.
separated. I think they were for
Oh,
like
this is
months.
just okay. Let me tell you, Chris. I haven't said anything about it because I want to. I am not a cultural appropriating person. I'm not a person who like looks at folks doing things. To me, cultural appropriation is a very specific thing, and like it's a piece. It's a one situation by one situation measurement for me, and so I can't just like tell you what it is. But like Ari wants the world to know that she is very comfortable in African attire. Everything that every outfit she wears has something like specifically Ethiopian about it. And I'll say specifically Ethiopian because that's where she's been. She may have done some time in Kenya in her like, East Africa travels. But today she's wearing a cute top. It's cute, but it is very African cloth attire.
So
And
she's living back in Ethiopia, that she said in episode 1.
she doesn't live here?
She moved back to Ethiopia, she said, when it got so bad.
Oh.
Without him.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh. Yeah, because he's here.
He's in Vegas. She's been living in Ethiopia. Now, I'm not saying what you're saying isn't right.
Oh. Well, I mean, and that's why I'm like, I didn't want to say anything, because I was like, she lived there for such a long time. Like if I had lived, like, let's say I lived in, I don't know, I cannot be a cultural appropriator in this scenario, especially with this culture.
Scotland, a kilt?
Yeah. But even then, as far as cultural appropriation goes, I don't know the history of people making fun of or looking down on folks who wear kilts. And also it's like not a woman thing at all. So like, and then, there's like so many levels to like, why would I be wearing a kilt? But also my people had nothing to do with like the Jacobites and, Bonnie Prince Charlie. And like, we never put down the Scots and made them change their language or forget who they were. You know what I mean? So it's like, I can't be culturally appropriating a kilt. However, it doesn't matter how many times I've spent time in Scotland. I just don't know that I would be like so like, oh yeah, this is, I don't know if women had very specific outfits. If I were to wear it outside of that country, like that's what I'm saying. So it's like, if I were to see her in Kenya wearing that, I wouldn't bat an eye, because she's in Kenya and that's where that's the fashion. That's what people are wearing. but it's because she's not there and she's here that I'm like, it just feels weird. It just feels like a little out of place. And it could be very much admiring, like she's showing off the clothes, like maybe, she's, whatever, plugging a brand or whatever. I get that. It just like sometimes I'm like, well, damn, that's cute. But also like you're just roaming around fucking Arizona and kente cloth. Okay, girl, you do you. Anyways, that's all I have to say about that, and I won't talk about her African attire anymore unless I like it. So we then have Reba not McIntyre Thomas, who is a sex expert, and I can tell that it is staunchly 4:30 p.m. Like they have passed the hottest time of the day because it is evening time where they are. That 4 p.m. or 6 p.m. I don't know when it gets dark in Arizona, or that 6 p.m. glow is hitting everybody right. Every woman who was in that sun, it's being hit in a way that a light bulb could never.
I agree with you. I mean, like everyone obviously is wearing their new shoes. So basically, she's like, "Do you guys talk about sex?" And everyone's like, "No, never. We don't talk about." You can't hear me?
I can hear you, girl, but you just sound like you're far away.
Okay, is this better?
Nope. Can you go to your settings and see if it's on sure?
Is this better? Is this better?
Nope. Blowing it.
Hello? Who?
Yeah, no.
How did I blow?
No, it's not. Your settings is not on sure?
It's on. Oh no, it's not.
Let's see. Yeah, there we go.
Hello?
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 Yeah, there it is. There
Okay.
it is.
I don't know what's happening. I'm just so sorry. Like
it'll be fine. Don't worry.
Anyway. Okay, so I was going to so couples. Okay, the couples, guess what? Don't talk about sex either because it's like an ethnic thing, or they don't talk about sex. They're not having sex. They don't want to have sex with each other. They're having sex with other people. I don't know. They don't talk about it or whatever. And so she's like, "Great. Well, if you don't talk about it, then let's not talk about it and let's explore." And then like once she says that, honey, like Julia and Sophie are like, "Oh, the fuck," because everyone's sort of like, "We know we are circus monkeys in this Matt Sharp carnival." And they all kind of know that, sure, we're here for last resort, but they also want to make sure that they're going to do exercises that are embarrassing in some way, TV worthy in some way, gripping and or sensational in some way. You know what I'm saying? And so everything I think, is a low key, like there's a trepidation to seem like what, exercise it's going to be, because it's going to be like, a little, what's the word? It's like almost like looks like they're taking advantage of, reality stars, because they are for fame. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't see it that way, but now that you say it, yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see how that would feel that way. I thought it was a fun exercise, and it made me go, "Oh, should I try that with somebody I'm with?"
Yes.
That's what I thought. Okay. But maybe not in public is what you're saying. Not maybe at
No,
not
I think in public, in front of
Okay.
people, mostly just do it in front of children, and then teach them the ways how to paint. It's like, I think it's a good artistic exercise,
Now, did you think that the
It sounds like a really
paintbrushes
bad
would have did you think that it's when you bring children into it, I am like,
I know. Unfortunately, you remember that I'm a dark comedian in the bottom of basements, usually doing comedy, and then forget that I'm on a podcast. Go on.
Okay. So I thought the paintbrushes were going to have something on them, but they didn't. So what it was is they had to paint each other with a dry ass brush. And then like a dry ass paintbrush does not feel good. And then the way that Gino was painting Jasmine, she's like, "It's not working." And I'm like, "It's not, girl." Like she also cannot lay on her tetas like that. Like, so like flip over and then he's getting all the wrong spots. And he's just worried that she's gonna horse kick him. Like he's like, "I need to wear her shoes, but put your feet down." And she's just won't put her feet down because it'll just add more pressure to her tetas. And then she turns over and the Reba is like, "Well, maybe you should tell him where to kind of go, Jasmine. I hear you saying no, red light." And she's like, "Maybe my neck." And then he's like, "Okay." And so he starts to do her décolletage, right? And we're like, "Didn't she just say neck? Did she just say neck?" And he went down to the décolletage, and then finally she's like, "Up here." And then he goes there and she's like, "Green light." So then once they find a green light spot, they mark it with an X with chocolate syrup or some kind of syrup. Now cut to Benny and Ari. And this is where it feels non-consensual, and I'm uncomfortable for Benny because Benny is saying red light, redder light, the reddest light.
Yeah.
The
Stop,
reddest,
Simon. Yeah.
yes, the reddest light. And she's like, no, this is green light. And he's like, and I'm like, okay, Ari, 2 years ago, it's been 5 years. 2 years ago, it was okay. 3 years ago, it was okay for you to tell us what he was really trying to say because only you could understand Benny's English. Now, this man is saying, no red light. And she's like, you mean green light? And he's like, no, I mean red light. And then she's like, well, this used to be, this is green light. I know it's green light. We had sex a couple months ago. This is green light. And he's like, well, not today, bitch. It is red fucking light. And she's like, we've had sex. And then he's like, I'm just uncomfortable. Like, I'm uncomfortable. I can't fake it. And then he looks at her and he's like, why do you want to force it? And at that point, I would have just put my brush down and sat next to him. Like, how much does Benny have to embarrass her and or like put her down in front of us and everyone before she just stops trying to force him? Because right now, all she's doing is looking crazy, I think that she thinks that she's proving her point and that he's not a good partner to her.
Yep. In her mind, she's like, the whole audience is on her side. And because in the bar, she thought everyone was on her side that's in the cast. So I completely agree. Also, the shots of Gino then having to lick when they find out that they have to now lick the places that are green, going down on Jasmine are like, this is like, give me the red light special all through the night, baby.
Oh, Gino, it's yours.
Do the Gino voice.
Jasmine, I like in between your legs, even though I won't go. Oh, Gino, go slow or go fast. I like when you lick my ass. Oh, Gino, go. I love you, and I will suck your toe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of sucking toes, Rob and Sophie. Like, Sophie, first of all, Sophie will leave the house dressed like she wants to be stolen and taken to a foreign country and sold into, unmentionable situations. But then will draw the line at licking her husband's nipple. She says she doesn't want to look like Gino and Jasmine. I was like, the fact that men are able to show their nipples and women are not is already a crime. So you think that you licking his nipple is the equivalent of Gino in between her legs licking her inner thigh.
I don't think it's the equivalent, but I'll be honest, I wouldn't do it on camera either. Like, I would do it if I was getting paid as an actor money, with all the bumps and all the things that happen with that kind of thing. But if I was on a reality show, or let's just say I was doing something with like my partner and it was being like taped or even in front of people, I don't think I'd be comfortable, because it is a very sexual, a nipple looks like a nipple. And to watch someone, because you know what they would do, the camera would go in on Sophie being like, it's very sexual. This is what they did for them. This, what I'm saying? But she knows what it's going to look like. And so I got it, that's why she covered it. She's like, that's not, yeah, that was like, I totally, I don't know. I was like on her side. Florian licks Stacy's neck. Also, so yeah, he feels rejected by that, but I think that it's also like he always feels sort of like Debbie Downer rejected.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Stacy can't feel a bloody thing. She's like, all of my liposuction. She's like, I don't feel it. He's like literally putting the paintbrush in her ass crack and she cannot feel it. And I was like, that is the price to look that way at your age. Because the thing is, so if they were to tell me Stacy was 55 and that's what plastic surgery did to her, I'd be like, bravo, sis. But like the fact is that they're not even maybe I don't know 50? If they're 50 yet. They might be 50 now, but like not enough for them to have, especially Darcy. Like, I think that Stacy, for some reason, hers came out looking moderately okay, but maybe I'd need to see her without makeup. But to me, Darcy with the like blatant face, she wears like, instead of like filters, she wears face masks. Like every single filter Darcy puts on her face on Instagram or social media is a mask filter. It's one where it's like AI.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I see what you're saying. Ooh,
And so I
yeah.
just feel so bad for her. But anywho, so like it is just so funny that she can't do that. And so then Ari thinks that Benny is pretending again to not like her kisses, and that's what she says in her confessional. She's like, I don't know why he's pretending to not like this. Like, and I'm like, girl, you sound like a sex offender. It's like she sounds like one of those crazy like
No.
men who go after 15-year-old girls and are like, but she seduced me.
It's a little fucked up because, she really is acting like he called her the night before and was like, "I can't wait to just, like, be with you, baby," and then he's showing up like this. Like, that's the only,
Yeah.
she's acting almost like that. So, basically, then we get a scene where Natalie has called therapist James, honey, left, and then James and her walk around the resort hand in hand with bottles of water, and they sit in two of those, like, obnoxious chairs that, like, hang, like, at resorts, but they're kinda comfortable, like, you wanna take a nap in them, but then, like, sometimes they're like, do I want to be floating in air? You really got to like pick your battles with those kinds of chairs. And we get James. Okay, I've talked about James before, and James is intense. James to me is like if a Disney customer service specialist slash trainer was also a psychiatrist or psychologist. Like everything is so almost like AI by the book of like how to say things that it's like it's just a little wild to me. So, Natalie, you reached out to me. What prompted that? And then so she sits down and she's like, "Well, last night," she recounts the entire story. Do you want to do a little? How was
Yeah,
she?
she's like, I go out with everybody out to bar, and then I find out that Josh invites whore to Vegas, and it hurt my, not me, it hurt my
We
feelings.
call her Sophie. We'll use names here.
Yeah. Um, and so then she's like, I think everybody's mad at me, and I'm worried about that situation. And he's like, well, this sounds like something that's triggered from trauma. So let's go back. Like, what from your past may have triggered this?
Oh, well, going back, I remember that I was heavily bullied. Oh, they put so much gum in my hair, my beautiful, not frizzy hair. And over time, the gum and the hair got so big. They made fun. They said, "Look at that frizzy, blue eyed girl, Natalie. We hate her. We're so jealous of her beauty and her exquisiteness." Oh, it was so hard for me, James.
But
Only
see,
my mom was my friend.
like, the thing that is crazy to me is let me say that quote, "I have to prove I deserve to be loved," that hit me. I was
I
like,
agree, I agree,
"Oh,
I agree.
hitting the home. I have to prove I have deserved to be loved." The thing is that people love Natalie. Men have loved Natalie.
Mhm.
Natalie has found that the way she interprets love is not the way that they have interpreted love. Like love looks very specific to her. And that's I think the disconnect, right? Is like, because Mike loved her. Mike didn't love her with a house, a money, and like opportunities. Like he didn't love her with the things that she thinks Josh doesn't love her, and he's giving her money and opportunity and like whatever, right? So that's what she finds value in, because it's crazy to me that she has run so far away from Mike, as though like, it's crazy. Anyways,
You're right, but it's very astute, you're right.
it's just like it's just so sad, because it's sad because I want that. And well, enough about me. Okay. So we move on to her saying, like, also I have a question. Sorry, let me, before we go on. The way she interprets the girl putting the bubble gun in her hair is that the girl purposely wanted to have Natalie looking crazy.
Mhm.
Isn't that such an interesting way to interpret a kid doing something, to like put on so much, like, I don't know. Do you think that little kids are like, I put bubble gum in her hair so that she can cut her hair and did not look ugly?
No, you're right. You're right. She wishes that other people were uglier than her so she would be the prettiest one. But not everyone operates that way. Some assholes are just have ADD in the back and just are distracted and just assholes and throwing shit in people's hair. I mean, I'm just being, like they're not thinking I'm doing this in order to make her less beautiful than me. It's not everyone is a fucking mother in Snow White. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like
not
squares in the
every
land shit.
Yeah. And it's just so interesting sometimes, like when that happens. Like this happened to me recently, and somebody put something on me and I was like, what? And then I was like, oh, it's like such a humbling lesson that like I need to not do. I need to not create scenarios for other people, because when those things, like she's woman has been walking around with this thought in her head, which is probably not true, making decisions about other women for the rest of her
Yes,
life,
yes, yes,
because
yes.
she
Fuck.
assumes that at any time a woman does something to her,
Yes.
that they're doing it because they want her to look bad or look ugly, when
Yes.
that could not be it at all. Like, it is just a study girl. Like, so if there's anything y'all take away from these therapy sessions that, James doesn't actually do, here's me. I'm in therapy now. I would like to help you. This is what it is. Don't assign things to people if you don't know 100% that they did it for the reason you believe they did it. Okay. Move on. It'll
I
save
love
you
you
so
so
much
much.
stress. It'll save you so much stress, girl.
Thousands of dollars. Okay, honey, that's thousands. Okay, so but join our Patreon, give it back to us. So basically, he's like, "Listen, you should share your vulnerability with Josh, and we should work on your past childhood trauma." And she's like, "Yes." And he's like, "Okay, and also you should address the group with an apology and give some background." And she's like, "Well," but she
Yeah.
says that she wants to do that. And then later on in confessional, she goes, "I know I was a monster, but I don't. I should apologize. I don't give a fuck." And she doesn't. She really doesn't. And I mean,
Yeah.
like, that's where she's a little bit of a narcissist. She's a narcissist. And so that's
Uh-huh.
why we're just kind of like, that's why we're okay laughing and pointing at you on the show when you cry. If you're in on it or not on it, we don't give a shit, because you do make good TV and we don't care about you. We're not empathetic to you. You don't deserve really love. That's why I
Mhm.
guess you keep thinking you have to prove it. Anyway,
Mhm.
just kidding. So they have to play this next game called Yes, No, and Maybe, which is like a thing where they walk to the sign that they feel like. This, of course, is being put on by our favorite and yours, Reba, Don't Let Us Down.
Mhm. Mhm.
And yeah, basically the first option is make a sex. First of all, when they started writing the options, I thought they're going to be gross and like really intense, and we would get a lot of them. But here they are. The first one is make a sexy video. I mean, Sophie and Rob, Florian and Stacy say yes, and maybe, and yes, and
Gino,
maybe, yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No, Gino and Jasmine, they say that they've done it. Like, I think like they're both, Gino's in maybe because he's like, ah, rah, 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 rah," and Jasmine's like fully yes. And then then it's like add a third person. And then I think Sophie and Rob are in the maybe together,
Mm-hmm.
and Gino and Jasmine are in the yes together. And we find out that Gino and Jasmine have two different ideas about what that looks like. Now, let me tell you, what I thought is that obviously Gino wanted another woman, but I was also hoping that he would say he would be okay with being cuckolded, because he's not having sex with his wife, so someone might as well be. And
God.
then I thought she was going to say, yes, I would like to have sex with another man because my husband can't get it up. And so, like, but then she says fully she wants a whole relationship with another person, like that she wants to be in an open relationship. And then they happen to cut to Gino making faces. And I'm like, I guess I just am like, you cannot be a newlywed and just no longer have sex with your spouse and expect everything to be okay. Like, what kind of antiquated, old fashioned, you're getting married to be with a person nonsense is that? No, you're getting married so that you can have sex consistently.
You're absolutely right. And this also brings up a dispute between Brandon and Julia, because Julia goes into the maybe situation. She dances her way subtly to the maybe section, and Brandon is like hardcore in the no. And he's like, "How dare you?" And she's like, "What? I'm the fun one. You are the old lady that I just have to like keep dragging around in this relationship." And he's like, "How disrespectful." Well, it's every man's fantasy. Of course I want to, but I didn't want to disrespect you because so I'm gonna go in the yes. And then he goes in the yes, and she's like, "Okay." And then he like throws it back in his face. Like,
yeah, it's weird that he's mad at her for having a maybe. He's like, you don't even want to have sex with your own husband. How dare you? Would you want to bring somebody else into this? of course I want to have sex with somebody else. So and so he goes over there and she's like, well, it's being honest. It's the time to be honest. And I'm being honest that maybe I'd be into it. And he's so mad that it's like, wow, they're in a worse place than we thought. And she is so over it that she's not even angry anymore. He's angry still, meaning that he wants.
Know. I think it's fake.
Oh.
I think there's parts fake.
Oh.
Yeah, I do. I wish I didn't, but it's there. I said it. I've been whispering it in my mind the whole time, and then it came out. So it was an inside thought for a long time of this episode.
Okay, thank you.
Anyway, so we'll see what happens on this journey of Last Resort, season 2. But thank you so much for being with us. We love you so much, and we really appreciate you. And we want to see more of you. If you want to see more of us, we exist all over the internet. Lots of sex videos, lots of old dick pics, as Gino, I guess, sent Jasmine. This is
From
my
10
dick
years
20
ago.
years ago. I can't imagine, like, this is, I guess, like, these are my tits 20 years ago. They look the exact same. Anyway, okay, so social medias are at DocuSweeties on Instagram, at DocuSweeties on TikTok, at DocuSweeties1 on X. We have a Facebook group, the DocuSweeties Podcast Facebook group, and besides that, YouTube totally exists. And please go there and lovingly give us a subscription, follow the whole situation, and ring the bell, and
You can ring
bell, and bell. Ring that bell. And tell us how to give us money.
So if you did want to support us monetarily, you could do so by going to patreon.com/DocuSweeties. You get a live every first Monday of the month, plus other goodies. So if you're all interested in that content, please join us on patreon.com/DocuSweeties. Otherwise, we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.